Welcome back, everyone, to the O2 Property Podcast. This is episode 4.
Great to be back.
We are zeroing right in on Narrabundah.
And the wider inner south of Canberra, too, yeah.
Exactly. We've got some pretty fresh data, April 2025 report stuff, to really unpack.
We'll be looking at, who's buying, how affordability is shifting.
And that really interesting dynamic, I think, between house prices and unit prices in such a sought-after spot.
Yeah, it's quite something.
Our mission really is to cut through those numbers and just give you a clear picture of what's actually happening.
Whether you're thinking of buying, selling, or maybe you're just curious about the Canberra market.
So let's jump straight in. Narrabundah at a glance.
Let's do it. Okay, so core figures. The median house price in Narrabundah currently sitting at $905,000.
Okay. And how's that tracking?
Well, it's up a little, 1.5% in the last quarter and 3.4% compared to this time last year. So modest growth.
Right, modest for houses. But units in Narrabundah seem to be telling a very different story.
Oh, absolutely. Median unit price is now $390,000.
And the quarterly change?
That's the big one, up 6.8% just in the quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, and still up 2.6% year on year. But that quarterly jump, it's significant.
It really is. What do you think is fueling that? Such rapid growth, I mean.
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? Or maybe the $390,000 question here.
Maybe.
Could be a few things, right? Maybe the supply of those, more affordable units is just drying up fast.
Putting pressure on prices.
Exactly. Or perhaps we're seeing, a real surge in demand from certain buyers. Maybe people wanting that inner south lifestyle, less maintenance.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's definitely a trend to watch closely.
For sure. Now, rentals, what's happening there?
Okay, so house rents in Narrabundah average $670 a week.
And movement.
Pretty steady quarter on quarter, actually unchanged, but they're up 3.1% compared to last year.
Okay, so house rents climbing steadily year on year, but units.
Here's where it gets interesting again. Unit rents are $410 a week. Also unchanged from the last quarter. But get this, they're actually down 2.4% compared to a year ago.
Down? Really? So rising unit prices significantly, but falling unit rents year on year.
Yeah, it's a bit of a puzzle, isn't it?
It is. What could be going on there?
Well, maybe the types of units actually available for rent have changed. Like perhaps the newer, fancier ones are owner-occupied now, or just not hitting the rental market.
That's plausible. Leaving sort of a different mix of stock influencing that average rent figure down.
Could be.
Okay, what about market activity? Clearance rates.
Right, crucial indicator. Narrabundah's clearance rate is 29.2%.
Oof, that's quite low.
It is, and it's a notable drop from the 37.1% we saw this time last year.
Wow, okay. That suggests something shifted, hasn't it?
Definitely feels like a shift. Maybe buyers are getting a bit more cautious, or sellers' expectations are maybe a bit out of sync with the market right now.
Could be both.
Okay, let's try and piece this together a bit more, especially thinking about affordability, for people trying to get in.
Yeah, good point.
The report does flag that the availability of entry-level units right across Canberra is down, dropped 1.7% year on year.
Okay, so shrinking supply at that entry point. That usually pushes prices up, you'd think.
You would, but what's really interesting, despite that, Canberra's overall median unit price, $462,000, still makes it the third most affordable capital city in Australia for units.
Get out. Third. Really, given Canberra's rep for being pricey overall.
I know. It does challenge that perception a bit, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And that relative affordability must impact mortgage serviceability.
Well, exactly. For units in Canberra, serviceability is sitting at 26.5%.
Okay.
Which is comfortably below that 30% stress threshold lenders often talk about.
Right. So comparatively, paying off a unit mortgage here seems manageable for a lot of people.
Seems that way. And this might be the kicker for first home buyers, the time it takes to save a deposit.
Yes, always a big hurdle.
In Canberra, for a unit deposit, the average time is 3 years and 3 months.
Okay, 3 and a bit years. And for a house?
Significantly longer, 5 years and 7 months.
Wow, okay. That's a big difference. Over 2 years shorter for a unit.
Exactly. It really highlights how units can be that faster pathway onto the property ladder, especially somewhere desirable like the inner south.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which leads us to thinking about that affordability picture in Narrabundah itself. It seems like it's, evolving, especially for unit buyers.
Even with that quarterly price jump, the relative affordability compared to houses and nationally, plus the lower deposit time, could be making units look pretty attractive there right now.
It really could be creating an entry point. Which brings us back to that clear divergence we're seeing. Houses, steady, modest growth. Units, this pronounced surge lately.
So what's driving it? Is it a fundamental shift? People actually preferring unit living more now?
Could be. Lifestyle, location, less upkeep. Or is it just the affordability factor pushing more buyers that way because houses are, well, getting further out of reach?
It could also be supply, couldn't it? Are we seeing fewer new houses coming onto the market in Narrabundah compared to units? An imbalance there?
That's a really critical point. Supply dynamics are key.
Okay, let's circle back to those clearance rates. Below 30% in Narrabundah. That needs a closer look.
Definitely. It means a fair chunk of properties listed for auction aren't selling under the hammer.
So why? Are sellers maybe pricing things based on, I don't know, last year's highs?
Quite possibly. Or are buyers just more hesitant now, less willing to meet those expectations given, the broader economic climate?
Feels like a potential disconnect, doesn't it? Between seller hopes and buyer reality.
It does. And it probably means sellers need to be, pretty strategic about their pricing to get a deal done right now.
Realistic pricing is key.
Absolutely.
Joining us today are two names you will hear a lot if you spend any time in Narrabundah or the Inner South, Bree Currall and Chloe Lindbeck from Belle Property Canberra. Bree brings a sharp eye for market trends and a serious track record in Canberra real estate. She's known for bringing top results and building long-term relationships with her clients.
And Chloe's got that perfect mix of warmth, hustle, and negotiation smarts. She knows Narrabundah like no other. Known to work closely with buyers and sellers to get the deals across the line. Together, Team Currall are trusted names in the Inner South, and they've got their finger firmly on the pulse, so we are excited to have them here to break down what really is happening in Narrabundah right now.
Ladies, great to have you here. I'll jump right into it. Bree, Narrabundah's unit market has seen one of the sharpest price jumps in Canberra this quarter. What's fueling that, and who's buying?
Hello, and thank you for having me on. It's great to be here and certainly fantastic to be talking about one of my favourite subjects, Narrabundah. Narrabundah's unit market has jumped sharply this quarter. I'm not at all surprised. It's a fantastic place to live, lots of green spaces, right on the fringe of the Parliamentary Triangle, and obviously some of the best schooling in Canberra right at your doorstep. It all makes sense. It's one of the most accessible price points into the Inner South as well. So obviously people want to have that location, obviously now turning their heads to units because the freestanding house market is becoming less and less obtainable for all of us, I suppose. But there has been quite a few quality townhouses that have sold in the area recently, which I'm sure would also be contributing to that median price growth that we're seeing there. All in all, it's a mix of buyers that we're dealing with in the area at the moment. We've got first home buyers, investors getting confidence back into this market, which is understandable, and also downsizers moving into that unit market. We're seeing a lot of those at the moment as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Narrabundah really does have that mix of charm and convenience that ticks a lot of boxes. And with so many different buyer types in the mix, I imagine the way people are approaching the buying process is shifting too. Chloe, with clearance rates dipping and affordability slightly improving for units, what are you seeing in buyer behavior, especially among first home buyers?
Yeah, that's a good question. With clearance rates, I guess, softening slightly and affordability improving, we are certainly seeing a shift in buyer behaviour. They are more considered and more strategic, and it seems they are happy to have more time in the marketplace, researching, learning the market trends before they are really willing to commit. There's still demand, but it's, I suppose, value-driven rather than urgency-driven. It seems that in the marketplace at the moment, first home buyers are looking for low-maintenance homes that are turnkey, that they really can just move into. Once they do find that home, though, because they have had the time in the marketplace, they are ready to jump on the property.
You see, that makes so much sense.
Yes, for example, we had a gorgeous 3-bedroom home in Narrabundah for sale, brought it to market via an auction campaign. We actually sold it within 4 days of bringing it to market. We were working with a buyer that had been looking in Narrabundah for quite some time. This particular property ticked a lot of boxes for them. the sellers had done an incredible amount of work to the home, so there was nothing left for them to do. The buyers came and had a look on the Saturday, asked for a second inspection on the Monday, brought forward an offer Monday afternoon, and after some negotiation, we were able to secure a pre-auction offer for our sellers.
And sorry, Matt, do you see more instances similar to this one?
Oh, yes. I think this sale is a good example of buyer behaviour in the marketplace at the moment, even though we're seeing days on market for units looking closer to 50, and I think for houses it's closer to 70 days on market. Relatively still competitive. When a buyer has found something that they are ready to purchase and they feel like they have negotiated well, they're willing to secure themselves a sale. They are willing to be competitive with their offers.
Interesting. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. It's shown a really fascinating picture, I think.
Definitely. That clear split between houses and units is the main story. Units seeing that significant price growth, while houses are more steady.
And that unit market, despite the price bumps, still seems to offer a potential way in for first home buyers in the inner South.
Yeah, because of that relative affordability edge compared to houses in other cities, plus the shorter time needed for the deposit. It's a compelling package for some.
But for sellers, it's maybe a more complex environment right now. The lower clearance rates suggest needing a really careful approach.
Careful pricing, smart marketing.
Yeah, sellers need to be strategic.
Big thanks to Bree and Chloe for sharing such sharp insights into what's happening on the ground in Narrabundah right now.
This was amazing. Thank you for having us, and it sounds to me like it's shaping up to be a really good time to buy, so I guess we'll see you all out there soon.
Thank you.
And for the listeners, if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to follow our show, share it with someone thinking about making a move, and check out our earlier episodes. This is the O2 Property Podcast. I'm Matt Taylor.
And I am Ellie Hart, and we'll see you next week.